women survived. 29 boys survived. 27 girls survived. There were 706 survivors aboard the Titanic. 1,360 men died. 104 women died. 35 boys died. 18 girls died. 1,517 passengers died. If you take the 706 and the 1,517 added together, reveals that 2,223 passengers were aboard the Titanic. We're going to look at the columns now. 332 men survived. 1,360 died. 1,692 men were aboard the Titanic. 318 women that survived, combined with the 104 women that died, indicate that 422 women were aboard the Titanic. The 29 boys who survived, with the 35 boys who died, add up to 64 boys aboard the Titanic. The 27 girls that survived, the 18 that died, add up to 45 girls aboard the Titanic. If you take 1,692 added with 422 and 64 and 45, again, you get 2,223 passengers aboard the Titanic. What percent of the passengers died? (1,517) died out of the 2,223 passengers. 1,517 passengers died aboard the Titanic out of 2,223 passengers. If we approximate this number to the nearest thousandths, the 2 is in the thousands position and the digit to the right is a 4, which means our final answer is 0.682. Multiplying this number by 100 simply moves this decimal 2 spaces to the right. 68.2% of the passengers died on the Titanic. What percent of the passengers survived? 706 passengers survived out of the 2,223 passengers. 706 passengers survived out of 2,223 passengers. The 7 is in the thousands position. Looking at the digit to the right, being a 5, means to add 1 to the 7 to make our final answer 0.318. Multiplying this number by 100 simply moves our decimal 2 spaces to the right, meaning 31.8% of the passengers aboard the Titanic survived. What percent of the passengers were men? 1,692 men were aboard the Titanic out of 2,223 passengers. There was 1,692 men aboard the Titanic out of 2,223 passengers. If I look at this first one that's in the thousands position and look to the digit to the right, our final answer will be 0.761, approximated to the nearest thousandth. Multiplying this number by 100 simply means to move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. .1% of the passengers aboard the Titanic were men. What percent of the passengers were boys? There were 64 boys aboard the Titanic out of 2,223 passengers. There were 64 boys aboard the Titanic out of 2,223 passengers. The 8 is in the thousands position, but the digit to the right being a 7 means to add 1 to the 8 for a final answer of 0.029. Multiplying this number by 100 simply means to move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. .9% of the passengers aboard the Titanic were boys. What percent of the passengers were male? There's 64 boys, 1,692 men, both of which are male, out of the 2,223 passengers. 1,692 males, 1,692 men plus 64 boys divided by the 2,223 passengers. There were 1,756 males aboard the Titanic.